Hello, everyone. This is Lindsay Wood, and welcome to the TinyFest Takeover. Happy morning to you. I just drank my chai, and so I am fully caffeinated, and I am super excited to have with me here Jarrod, Tocci. Welcome, Jarrod.
Hey, what's going on, Lindsay?
I am so excited that we are here today because we are going to be coming to TinyFest March 16th and 17th. And one of the things that we're going to be doing is the VIP tours.
Hmm.
So, just to give everyone a little bit of understanding, my background is in the tiny home world. My husband and I went tiny after living in Marin, very expensive, wanted home ownership. And so we chose to go tiny. Our builder went out of business in the middle of the build, and that opened up our whole world of consulting, launching the Go Tiny Academy. And that brought me to hosting VIP tours. And for the past few years, I've been hosting VIP tours very successfully at TinyFest. Last couple years, we've been doing it at Pleasanton. We did that in Del Mar last year, and we pretty much had close to sell out VIP tours. And what I learned there was that so many people coming to TinyFest, they love it. They get exposed to the tiny homes, they get exposed to, builders and all kinds of things. But some people want a little more handholding. They want a little more support to answer some of the tougher questions that they don't know themselves. And they may not be able to get answered with the long lines that happen at TinyFest. And so we created the VIP tours. We have an early access tour, and then we have other tours during the day, 12:30 and 3:30. But what it dawned on me when I was in Pleasanton and also in Scottsdale is there were also people that were interested in learning about the vans. And I said to someone that's joined my tour, and when I said, no, I'm not really doing the van tours, I realized, oh my gosh, we really need someone that can handle the van questions. And so, boom, boom, enter Jarrod. So, Jarrod,
Where
tell
this
us a
guy
little
comes
bit
in.
about your background and your world of van life to tiny life to van
Yeah.
world and all the education that you help people guide on.
And now, even though my background right now is the tiny house that I live in, I started this whole process in a van. I started van building I started van research in 2016, and then I got into van building in 2017. I fell in love with the build process and how to build and just immerse myself in designing. My background is architectural engineering. And I just truly fell in love with that whole process of it. And then I moved into the van and I was full-time van life in that van for 2 years. I loved it so much. I went out and built another van, and I lived in that van for another year and a half. So I traveled around the country in vans. During that process, I started a YouTube channel and I started to show off other people and their builds. And then I got into showing off companies because my passion was really the people behind the scenes that aren't really shown as much, which are, these builders, big or small, it does not matter. And I really wanted to get to know them, and I wanted to share that knowledge with everybody I possibly could. And my audience obviously kept on growing. So um, that was just a passion of mine, and it now it's turned into what I do now, which is pretty much talking vans with everybody. I go to show and I do a lot of speaking about vans, how to build them. I do consulting. My consulting is anywhere from DIY building or also getting the person in touch with the right van builder. Because I've been doing this so long and because I've been going to so many shows and because of my YouTube success, I've really got to learn the ins and outs of all of these builders that I, have come in contact with. So I kind of know who to look for and also, the good and the bad to look for in a builder. If I don't know a builder, I can maybe give you my advice on questions to ask, or, what to look for. So that is kind of my expertise, I guess.
I love it. And you even have I know you have a virtual background of your van, and we're going to be sharing
Yeah, I can share
the
that.
cool van VIP tour and tiny home VIP tours. So it's really been a passion of mine to help people avoid what we went through, which was our builder going out of business. Oh, beautiful, right? Look at that.
Yeah,
Gorgeous.
that's my second
And
van.
here we go. I'm going to choose my other. This is our tiny home,
Whoa.
32-foot gooseneck tiny home. And then I also focus on the movables and the modulars. Because for many people, when they show up, they may be in an area where The movables aren't allowed, but the modular is. So we've got,
Absolutely.
the movable in a larger or in a smaller version, like the van. And you'll also be talking about Skoolie. So let's just jump back into, first, we're going to show you where you find us online, because if you can't find us online, then that's a problem. But let me share my screen. And here we go. We're at TinyFest. Yay, TinyFest.events. You click on the California button, because that's where the show is going to be, March 16th and 17th. And as you scroll down, it says get ticket. Boom, here we go. Tiny Home Tours. There's a 75-minute guided tour with myself for the tiny homes, and with Jarrod for, you're going to be going to vans and schoolies.
Schoolies. Yep, we'll do
Yep.
some schoolies. We'll definitely talk about it. They're definitely under the same umbrella, so why not?
Right, exactly. Whereas we're just going to be going to the tiny homes. There's probably going to be, at any given show, there's somewhere 15 to 20. So we won't be going into all of them unless you do the early access. So the key thing is that you gain those essential insight that we uniquely have, because we've done this ourselves. We've heard the horror stories, right? Whether I experienced one of them myself, but I've also helped navigate for other people. I do contract reviews. I've guided them into, really the risk is on you as a buyer, right? Because this is such an interesting industry. There's no one that has to have, a general contractor license to build a van or build a tiny home, right, Jarrod? I mean, the world of architectural engineering. If you're going to go build a regular house, there's some licensing that you have to go build that home. And if
It's
anything
funny.
happens along the way, that could be pulled.
It's funny. I was at the gym just the other day, and oddly enough, I was talking to somebody in my town that runs one of the largest general contractors in this town, which is a very small town, by the way. But they asked me to be an architect with them, and I said I don't have a stamp, and that's just one of the many things that you have to know. Like to be a licensed architect, you need a stamp. To get a stamp, you need to have a certain amount of schooling, like a doctor has to go through. After that, you need 2 years of apprenticeship. After that, you need to take a $5,000 exam just to get a stamp of approval
Yes.
to stamp off architectural plans. Engineers have to go through that. Licensed electricians have to go through something that's along those lines. Plumbers, all of these things are, and when it comes to, the tiny house world as well as the van world, we don't need those licenses.
Nope. And a lot of people don't know that. I went to a builder and they told me great things about how, sustainable they're going to use their materials. It wasn't. Like it
I'm
was.
sorry. I love the companies that say green, and I'm like, I know the products in your house, and I know they're not green. So I don't know who gets the green certification, but I'm not going to say any names. But my goodness,
And that's
not
just one example.
yeah,
I've also navigated someone away from a builder that required 100% of money up front,
no,
and they couldn't give you a timeline. I was like, well, then what
we're
are
not
you
doing that.
actually signing? And they have a lot of history of not delivering. Notice I'm not saying any names here on this channel, right? But when you're meeting with me and we're talking and we're going around, a lot of times what we'll do is find out, in a group, there will likely be people that are like, hey, I need more of a modular. Hey, I want more of a movable. Hey, I'm just starting out and figuring things out, right? There's a lot of people that are just starting out. So this 75-minute guided tour for the van tours, you'll be going to vans and schoolies, not to tiny homes. For the tiny homes, we'll be going to tiny homes only, not the vans and schoolies, because it's a big show. If we're to
Yeah.
do, gosh, it would be like a 2 or 3 hour tour if you go to everyone.
I was
So
gonna
the
say,
key
there's
is,
no way we're gonna get to every single one, guys. I mean, we're definitely. I think Lindsay, you're gonna pick out a few that you're gonna go to, and on my end, I know that I'm gonna pick out some professional builds that I agree with and that I love, and that we can show the ins and outs. And here's what a professional should look like. And I want to show a DIY build of, not because I think it's less is good, right, or not as good as a pro, but I wanted to show the differences of a DIY versus a pro. And then I'll do the same with schoolies as well. It's going to be a lot of information in a 75 minutes. So, Lindsay, I don't know what you provide for your VIPers, but I would definitely advise some sort of journal, notebook, clipboard of some sort, because you guys are going to take some notes during this thing.
yes.
That you're going to, bring a camera and record me if that helps you. But definitely you're gonna want to remember the 75 minutes. It's gonna be jam-packed with a lot of information.
Actually, we can go from here. We'll just show you the whole journey except for the part where we're going to buy a ticket. So connection with builders and suppliers is so critical. The materials that you've chosen, Jarrod, the hours that you've poured into finding the right materials is very key. And so that would be something that's really important. And let me just share with you, these suppliers, they don't show up at TinyFest and hope open up a 10 by 10 booth, right? It's just not a big enough market for them. I know because I've been
and
Tiny Showcase.
I can give you an example, like there's a very small sample size of an example, but you know, when we build anything on wheels, right, except the modular houses, if we build any type of, you know, van or tiny house on wheels, we're very, very weight conscious. So if you have a builder that uses all cabinet grade plywood, which is great, but if it's a Baltic birch versus a Garnica, and that's something that I would know. That's something that I can, you know, show you guys on what the difference between a Baltic birch plywood and the weight difference to a Garnica plywood, which is about 40% lighter. But those, you know, you're not going to have a Home Depot rep and, you know, somebody that works at a wood supply company come to a TinyFest. Well, that's where Lindsay and I come in.
Absolutely. All right. So back to, I know you and I get so
I
passionate.
know I get so passionate about this stuff,
This
Lindsay.
is-
I'm sorry.
This is where I do want to make one point. Tiny home tours and van tours sold separately from the TinyFest ticket. We'll show you that in a moment.
Yes.
And early access tours have no lines because we show up at 9 a.m. And when does the show start? 10 a.m. We've got a whole opportunity. It does say homes, but we need to add vans and schoolies, right? Because remember, there's 2 different tours. So whichever one you click on.
And also, Lindsay, you can sign up. You can technically sign up for both. You just can't do both on the same time frame.
Correct. You're right. Yes. If you want to go see the vans with Jarrod, do it, you know, at 12:30 or at 9. You can do both early access because we have
you can do
Saturday
and
and a Sunday.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you come to this page, you click get tickets. And then here is where you drop down how many tickets you want. Right now, we'll just click 1. Very important. I scrolled up these little hat things, arrow down and arrow up, turn into your tour. So let's say you wanted early access right here and you scroll down, there's the Saturday at 12:30, Saturday at 3:30, and then we go into the next day, Sunday, same thing. We would have them at 9, 12:30, and 3:30. And you would go ahead and let's say we wanted both tours, right? I'm going to click 1 ticket there. And then I'm going to scroll down and click 1 ticket there. Okay, so now we have our checkout over here. We hit checkout. Then what we do,
you buy some tickets.
Yeah, we're going to buy us tickets. Okay, then what I have set up on my website is you'll get this confirmation email. Here we go. So this is the page that it will land you. Welcome, congratulations. I wish there was confetti that would, you know, go off because you are making a concerted effort towards your goal. I find a lot of people that there's dreamers and there's doers, and the ones that are part of the VIP tours absolutely are taking their step towards making their dream come true. So you'll have the information about the starting location. Our VIP tour booth will be just inside the front gate of the check-in gate. Now, if you're part of the early access tour because the gate's not open yet, please do not be late because this is where we're going to gather together and go off. But there's no one going to be left at the gate because the gate's not open yet. So it's a really awesome opportunity that we've come up with. People love the early access. Those actually sell out the fastest. So if you're thinking of ever doing it, buy the ticket now. Then what to bring with you? I do provide clipboards available. But I think, you know, bring your own pens, note-taking devices, cell phone, like Jarrod said, highly recommended. You know, if you want to like, you know, audio recorder, you name it. And then because it's so large, we're going to have very specific things. We're going to tiny homes or vans or schoolies. And then we'll be dropping off at a different place than where we picked you all up. We'll be definitely taking you through the time is now to go really focus on that whole new theme that's happening where you put the hour sign and the minute sign based on when the reasons for why you want to choose this lifestyle. And we'll be talking a little bit more about that. Renee can definitely talk about that more. She's amazing creating this. And then I have here my link for if you want to talk with me before the show, schedule a 15-minute discovery call. And then Jarrod has his consultation call link there. So
And
anything that I
just to reiterate, we're actually giving a massive deal on this because Lindsay, I don't know what you charge per hour, but that 75-minute is that's a lot less than what I normally charge.
Yes. I charge $250 an hour, and I do have a package where I do 3 hours because I feel like no one can do anything of this stuff in just 1 hour. So I have a package of $500 for 3 hours. So it's still way beyond what you're going to pay. So bring another friend. I find a lot of couples that are trying to do this together come together because you want, if someone's not answering the question, you want someone else to bring forward a question. And oftentimes we answer questions that you may not even know.
And
That
we have
happens all the
we
time.
have a cap to this. There's only so many people can sign up, right?
Yes. Yeah. 25 in the morning for early access and 20 per tour and for both tours, 25 in the early access and 20 for each tour at 12:30 and 3:30.
Which is obviously important because the earlier you sign up, the chances are that you're not going to have it sold out. I believe when you did this last year, I did not do the van tours last year. The tours, you
True.
had all 3 of yours sold out both days, if I don't remember correctly.
We actually had 4 of the tours sold out for both days. Yeah, and early access goes fast. So get in it quick. It's just a really great opportunity. It's a very minimal amount. If only one thing that either of us share helps you like go a different direction or, kind of recorrects you on a course or helps you really kind of solidify that dream. Is it worth it? I mean, how much are van general? Like cost is the thing with vans. So we were just, before we got on this recording, we were talking about cost, right? Tiny homes have the same thing. How much is a tiny home? How much is a van? That's like saying how much is a car? We're talking a Toyota or a Tesla, right? Like there's a
Well,
difference.
actually, those are almost about the same prices nowadays.
Right. Yeah, how would you answer maybe that question about pricing in amongst your VIP tour?
What's that? I'm saying that again. I'm sorry.
Like you're there at the tour, you're going to get these questions about costs,
Yep.
When you're on the tour, it's very different than when you're on a phone call or on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
Like what are some of the cool things that you're able to see on the tour in relation to that question? And I'll answer that as well for the tiny home.
First of all, you're gonna see my passion. I'm very passionate about everything that I do when it comes to van life. I'm very passionate about gearing people or pointing people in the right direction instead of the wrong direction. So when it comes to that part of my life, like I'm very, very fiery. So you guys will see the passion instead of hearing it over the phone. So you guys are gonna see some emotion out of me, which is gonna be great. But that's actually why I'm going to be taking people to a DIY van versus a professional van. There's going to be vans there. If I can solidify some of my friends that are going to be there, and friends, builders, that, their vans are professional vans are anywhere from 150,000 all the way up to 300, even $400,000 vans. And I can actually bring you to a $150,000 pro van and then to a $400,000 pro van. And I can actually show you guys why the price is what it is. And you're going to be like, well, that's crazy $350,000 difference. And I know this for a fact that I'm going to have an example of 150,000 and an example of a 400,000. Those 2 people have already signed up. So those 2 people are going to be in my VIP tour. And I'll be able to show you that, this air conditioner costs 3x what that air conditioner cost. This heating system cost 5x what the other heating system cost. And the power system is another massive jump in price point. And then just the van itself, a 2-wheel drive Sprinter is a lot less than a all-wheel drive Sprinter. A Sprinter is different than a Transit or a ProMaster. So we're going to go over all of those different things and we're going to be able to dissect and really break down why a van is 150,000 versus a van worth, 400,000. And you guys will be able to actually tell when by the end of it, you're gonna be able to look at a van and be like, that is not worth 250, or I can see the value of the 250. Maybe you're not going to spend 250, but at least you're going to be able to understand the value at the end of the 75 minutes.
I love it. And so from my perspective, yeah, this is great. I love it. Thank you. You know, I have this 3 pillars of going tiny, and I'm sure it applies also to the van world with a little twist. So we call it the land, the build, and the finance. With a tiny home, most people with a big home like you're sitting in right now, maybe you have another virtual picture
Oh,
just
I
to
can
show
change
you
it
the
up.
bigger view. Yeah,
I can
change it
change it
up.
up
Keep
for
going
you.
as I talk about tiny homes. Because with
Yeah,
Jarrod, he's the van guy and the tiny home guy, right? Like, even though that's not his name, tiny home guy, but
I'm not, but
he
thank you.
is, yeah. So what's interesting is the land part is probably the biggest issue, right? As I zip over to mine, oops, oh,
Oh, there's Lindsay, everybody.
yeah, there's my Lindsay. Here's our tiny home in an RV park.
Oh, and
So
this
I'm
is mine.
actually
That's that the one
allowable.
you wanted to see?
Oh, that's cool. I love that one. Yes. So with this one here in the RV park, this is totally viable, right? But what a lot of people don't know about is building standard, that which the standard for which the home is built to. And then there's zoning laws, which is going to be related to the land, what's allowed, what's not allowed. In more places, it's tiny homes are less allowed because they're on wheels, because they're considered an RV. For example, Jarrod, is that under the radar on that property or is that legal?
Okay, so you know what's funny is last year, everybody, I was building my tiny house. I was mid build, because I finished August of 2023, and the last year show, it was in March, and or it might have been there was another show that I saw you at, Lindsay. I think it was the Pleasanton one, and I
Yes.
asked you straight up, and I said, "Hey, Lindsay, I want to find land in the Northeast, which things are going to change." Anyways, I wanted to find land in the Northeast, and I had 2 states in mind, and I said, I want to do Vermont or I want to do Maine. And what did you said to me? No question, Maine.
Yes.
And you gave me the reasons on why, which was perfect. And I didn't know any of this. And you got me actually in touch with somebody that is on the board of tiny houses getting more legalized here in the state of Maine. So
You were on my VIP, you were on my virtual VIP tour, even though you didn't know it.
okay, great. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And you helped me out tremendously because I didn't know any of this stuff. And luckily we're friends, and I was able to pick your brain a little bit at the shows that we constantly see each other at. So I was like, I don't know. Lindsay, I can build a damn thing, but I don't know where to put the damn thing. So
Right.
so land is just one aspect of it. And now that I've been reaching out to you because I'm probably going to be moving my tiny, I'm like, what do I do, Lindsay? I don't know what to do. And she's been, oh, you've been such a big help. It's not
Thank
even
you,
funny.
Jarrod. And this is why people want to, you know, you can go in any of these vans and take a look at it from inside. You can meet with builders and all that. But the reason why people sign on to the VIP tours is because you get a little bit more insight, a little more like behind the curtain, right? Behind the scenes. And then because of our relationships, I'm like you, Jarrod. I went to 44 shows in the last 4 years, including COVID time. So that is a lot
You
of
beat
meeting
me.
people. You
You
know, you're
beat
like
me.
a family. You're like, oh, hey, it's like a
Yeah.
reunion every time. And when those reunions are with tiny home builders, there's not a lot of DIY tiny home people like
Oh.
left over. There's a few out there, right? Like the one I'm talking to.
No,
But
I
right,
don't build tiny. I don't build, I do specs. I do not build
right, you
for,
don't build it for other people. No,
no.
you don't. No. Whereas the builders that do, based on what you're looking for, so it's really, the builder's gonna, the one that you're gonna choose is largely gonna be dependent on where you're putting your home, right? This is why I talk about my movables and my modulars, right? The movable and the modular based on where. It also based on size. If someone says, I'm looking at more like a 500 square foot, well, you know that, tiny homes go up to 400. So we're getting into more of the details. Come and join us on the VIP tours because I think one, you're going to have a lot of fun, right? You get to imbue our passion into you. If you're just starting out, this is a great way to get two very passionate people in the direction of which you're going to really encourage you. And then, of course, we're available after,
And I
right?
will actually say
Ongoing.
you also asked me a question if I'm flying under the radar or not. The answer is no. No. The town that I'm in allows tiny houses. The county that I'm in allows tiny houses. Most of the state of Maine allows tiny houses. Obviously, you need to do the certain jumping through hoops that you have to go through when it comes to even building a house. You just have to get permits. You have to understand that. You have to know what you're doing. But that's what Lindsay is for. That's what she can help you with. There's might be a little bit of due diligence you have to do on your own, but at least Lindsay will point you in the right direction on where to go when it comes to the land part of it,
Yeah.
like that helped me. Now, I mean, I will even say now, I know that I was going to say this on a different video, but I'm actually putting the reason I had to go through the whole permitting process, Lindsay, and you know what I'm about to say, is because I just put my house up for sale, and they allowed me to put my house up for sale with the land.
I love
Which,
it. So like we're tiny home land flipping, and you and I are on the same pathway. I just put mine up for sale with Tiny House
whoa!
Society. Boom. And you know, a lot of people are like, why are you doing that? Are you leaving the tiny home world? No, we're just taking
No,
another phase at it because
yeah.
we're, you know, a lot of people, what you can't do is, you know, compare your chapter 1 to our chapter 20, right? We've been at this for a number of years. We've been educating other people. At this point, I want to actually tow a smaller home behind our truck and our camper that's going to be more of a showroom and really
Oh,
educate people. Yep, in just my Northern California area. And
and
because we've got family in different areas, we're helping, you know, my in-laws in Palo Alto, and then my parents live up in Ukiah. It's really not a very it's like 3 hours difference. So that's really where we're going to be zoned in on. Now that I've kind of broadened myself around the country, I really want to skinny down and just focus. And so I feel like the capital that I've had invested in this tiny home could really help me do that next version. What is your reason, Jarrod?
yeah, and for me, it's actually a multitude of many things. I realized over the past, several years that I enjoy the process of it all more than living in my own spaces. So I love to how else do I say this? I love to flip. So I love to build and then flip. I love to do specs. I am at heart a a small space designer. When I was in school, micro apartments and micro living or small living was always a big passion of mine. So I definitely want to get more involved with that. I want to design more furniture around that. I want to, build that aspect of my business. And to be honest with you, I want to immerse myself more into the van life world. So also at this show, guys, I'm not only doing a VIP tour. Sandy Vans is a van company that is building a van with my design in it. So I worked with them, I collaborated with them, and we are unveiling that van at TinyFest in Del Mar. I think we're going to do the unveiling on Saturday, middle of the day, afternoon, and you're not even able to see it. We're going to have a big white cloth on it. We're going to unveil it, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. So, and if I can sell my tiny house before that, then I am going to be moving into that van for the whole summer while I go from show to show, and I do more speaking, and I start teaching more people about, vans, and just immersing myself back into the van world, which I'm really excited about.
I love that. In fact, that is funny. You and I are in this weird, like, parallel universe because I just jumped on with Tiny Easy software because I was like, I don't know how to design stuff. I'm not going to go learn CAD. So I jumped onto that Tiny Easy software, and I've already designed like 10 homes.
That's awesome.
And so putting my own name on that with people, usually it's my clients that are getting a custom home. For example, one of my clients wanted a custom home, and then we wanted to like share it out with a number of builders. I had this vision 4 years ago, but I wasn't ready for it. Right. First of all, I didn't know how to design my own home. I had to work with someone else. So every time I wanted to make one little change, I had to go to him. And so it was really nice to be able to do this on my own. And so I do look at having my own brand line of designs, right? The Jarrod
What was that software
Tocci,
that you use?
Tiny Easy.
Tiny
Here,
Easy. Wow.
I'll show you guys because why not? We
I'm
can
looking
do
it up
this share screen.
as I'm on the Zoom with you. I'm
Okay,
looking
let
it
me
up.
show you guys because this is where I get like really excited. So tinyeasy.com. Now they only do tiny homes, not van.
You don't
But
even get a
the
kickback from
way,
this, Lindsay.
what? I don't
You
get
don't even
kickback.
get a
I'm
kickback
not,
from this.
I don't. There's
This
no
is
kickback.
awesome.
There's zero kickback from these guys. They're just really awesome people down in Australia. Yes,
You
Australia.
know, there have been some other van 3D design software, but in my opinion, I haven't liked any of the van 3D software that's been out.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to contact these people and see if they
Come
can start
on.
doing some van templates.
Oh,
Uh,
totally. So I'm actually designing the modular homes with this stuff, but they can't do a full big house. But what I learned from an interior designer, they're like, you don't need to, just do sections. In fact,
yeah,
the gentleman that built this software was an interior designer for regular residential homes. He goes, we never did an entire home layout. We did the kitchen layout. We did the bathroom layout. We did all these things. So I'm sorry, it's taking way too long to load this baby. And I really
okay.
wanted to show you my cool design, but we're gonna have to like wait another video.
Another day, another
Another
time.
day.
But that's a great tease, by the way, Lindsay. Great
Thank
tease.
you. Right. There we go. That was the teaser moment. Well, I'm so excited that you could join me, Jarrod, for this early morning or late middle afternoon, wherever you're at on the planet. By
I'm
the
East
time you're
Coast.
watching this replay, just know that we are two passionate people ready to host you at TinyFest for our VIP tours, tiny home VIP tours, and van VIP tours. You choose the one. Be sure to get your ticket early, especially if you want to do the early access, skip the lines.
Skip those
Yay.
lines, guys. Because I don't think we can't skip lines during the day, can we?
I tried that once. It was not pretty. I
It
didn't
was
like
not
it.
pretty. I actually remember that
So
year that you tried doing that, and there were a lot of angry people in line, everybody.
I don't like anger. I'm like, no, well, I trust we'll get to the ones we get to. If the people that show up for the 3:30 tour, most likely have already seen a lot, but they just want more. Like now that I've seen things, how about you take me back to, and meet the person that we can meet a little bit
Yeah.
connected. Usually the 12:30 tour, you're going to have more one-on-one time with both of us because that's the time when there's the biggest amount of people, but you're always going to get those questions answered, and that is
I'm gonna
the
be on a
most
high.
important.
I'm gonna be on a high the 12:30 time on Saturday because that'll be the unveiling right after the unveiling
There
of
you
the
go.
van.
There you go. That's
So
right.
guys, wait until that happens. It's gonna be amazing. I can't wait for Tiny Fest. This is one of my favorite shows every year, and I make it a point to be in San Diego during the show. So
Awesome.
thank you, Lindsay, for having me and thinking of me to do the VIP van tours because you know
Yes.
it's I was low key jealous when you were giving those tours last year. I was like,
Well,
come on, why can't we show the vans off? Let's
exactly. And when one person, I have to thank that one person that got onto my tour and said, "Oh, I can't wait to see the vans." I'm like, nope, we're not doing that." And
well
you
then
were
there you
the
go. So I'm
only
gonna have
one that
one
came to
person in
mind.
my tours. I'm gonna have one full person in my tours.
You'll have plenty more than that. Yes. All right, people, go get your tickets to TinyFest, sign up for the VIP tours of your choosing, and we will see you March 16th and 17th in Del Mar. Bye, everyone.
See ya. Thank